Ask Anthony, a Jacksonville woman is dealing with a soggy issue in her backyard, a makeshift lake that appears every time it rains. Carolyn Cook, a longtime resident of the Souci neighborhood, says her yard floods after every major rainfall, and the situation seems to be getting worse. So she contacted me for help.
We call it Lake Cook, literally. It's just water.
The recent widower says about 6 years ago, these new homes were built behind her property off of Parental Home Road.
They came in and clear cut all of the trees, built up the land, and built 13 homes back there.
Since then, her yard has flooded whenever there's constant rainfall, and now the problem is getting worse. Her son pointing out the difference in elevation between her property and the land behind her home.
It lasts for 3 or 4 days before it even begins to drain, so then it's just mush.
Mrs. Cook says she and her late husband reached out to the city for help over the years with no resolution.
They made an appointment for 11 o'clock, and I waited all day, and nobody showed up and nobody called.
Now she's speaking out in the hopes of getting the help she needs. And what are your concerns about having this much standing water in your backyard?
Well, for one thing, if it continues to get worse as it appears to be doing, eventually it will begin to erode the foundation of the house.
But who is responsible for this ongoing issue? Is it the city's fault, or does the developer share some of the blame? I spoke with consulting arborist Danny Lippy, who has experience in land development and environmental concerns.
Anytime there is development, there is water that is going to be displaced. There is an area that is wet that is now going to become dry. There is an area that was dry that is now going to become more saturated, and all of that has to be accounted for.
Lippy says there are multiple parties involved in land development, and sometimes problems like Cook's are overlooked during the planning stages.
If something goes wrong, there's not just one entity that's involved in that. There are a lot of different decisions. There are a lot of people involved in these processes, and a developer or an engineer or a landscape architect or somebody might come up with a design. It might be good, it might not be good, but someone in a municipality, like a county or a city, ultimately has to sign off and approve of these plans.
Back in October, I spoke with Anthony Bryant, who was having a similar issue in his backyard on Jacksonville's north side, and he was frustrated with the city's response.
I would like to see them take it serious instead of coming here and saying there's nothing they can do.
At the time, a city spokesperson told me the property behind Bryant's home was part of a natural wetland area, saying, quote, "The wetland system extends from Rains Viking Way to the east of Cleveland Road. It is important to understand the wetlands are unmaintained natural habitat."
A lot of times people think that they don't have any recourse, or they don't have any voice in this. You know, unfortunately, some things cost money, but you can hire experts. You can hire your own environmental engineering firm to do their own analysis.
What would be the perfect resolution for you in this situation?
Find a way to drain it. Tell me how.
And I reached out to the city about Ms. Cook's problem, and less than 2 hours ago, I received a response that the chief of the Development Services Division will send an inspector to Ms. Cook's home early next week to see if there's any way to help. Remember, if you have a problem you just can't solve, you can always email me at askanthony@firstcoastnews.com.